Hi and welcome. I hope you are good. This video is about how to get or how to create a frequency table of a categorical variable using pandas. So basically, it's the count of each of the categories of a categorical variable using pandas. So let's move on to the Jupyter notebook. Okay, so here we are on the Jupyter notebook. So let's first import NumPy and pandas. We won't be using NumPy, but I'm just importing. So here's the scenario. I have created the data from the sample store dataset. I'll put the link to this dataset in the description, as well as I'll mention it in the Jupyter notebook as well. So if we look at the sample store dataset, uh, it has many columns. In fact, there are 20 different columns in this data, and it has few category columns, the object columns. For example, category is there, then country. Similar to that, there are multiple other columns. So in for this data, I have extracted three different variables, three different columns that are category, subcategory, and segment. So here I have showed I'm showing you the first 7 rows of this data set. So the objective would be, so the first expected output would be to find the frequency table for category. So what I mean by that is, in this particular column category, how many times each of these categories are appearing. That is, how many times furniture is appearing, how many times office supplies are appearing. So the sample output would be something like this, that office supplies is appearing 6026 times. uh, the category furniture is appearing 2121 times, and the technology category is appearing 1847 times. Now I'll be doing this for the category column and the segment column. Now there are multiple number of ways of doing this. So in this video I'll be discussing two of the methods which I use frequently. um, First would be the method, the value underscore counts method in pandas, and the second method would be using group by along with the size method. So let's start solving this problem. So first I'll create a frequency table for the category column. So let's first see how it looks. Okay, let me run this again. Okay, so we have the first 5 rows of this column. Now I want to create the frequency table for the category column. So to do that, we'll just fetch that series category and then dot value underscore counts method. So we got the output as was mentioned in the expected output. We have the count of each of the categories in the full data frame. Now this data frame has about 9994 exact column and rows, and I have extracted 3 columns. So now coming on to the second method, using group by and the size method. So to do that, what we have to do is df dot group by. We need to mention the column name, that is category, and just we need to uh, ask for size. So let's see. So we have a similar output as using value underscore counts. And uh, one more thing. This is being returned as a series. Let's see what's the type of this output. So this is a pandas series. Suppose I want to convert this into a data frame. So we just need to do dot reset underscore index. Okay, so when we do reset underscore index, the first column is fine, but the second column is coming as 0. Now to give a name to this column, we can use the argument name equal to count, or yeah, we'll put it as count. So we have the category column and the count. That means the furniture category is appearing these many times, and so on. Now if we do the same thing in value underscore counts, it will also return a data frame, but the column names are not very intuitive, so we might need to change it if we want. So but let's keep it as is right now for value underscore counts. So now coming on to the second column, as I mentioned here, segment. I'll not do it for subcategory, I'll just do it for segment. The method would be the same. So finding the frequency table of the segment column. So to do that, we have df, the column name, that is segment. So we can also do it like this: dot segment dot value underscore counts. Okay, so we can see the consumer segment is appearing 5191 times, the segment corporate is appearing 3020 times, and the segment home office is appearing 1783 times. Now let's do it with the second method. So to do that, we need to uh, take the df dot group by segment dot size. Okay, so we have a similar output. So both of these methods could be used. Now one thing I like to mention here is now the group by and the size method is more generalizable, which I'll talk about in a while when we solve this question. But value underscore counts is can be used only for a single column. So let's move on to the last question, where we have to find the frequency table of category and segment column. So let's df, okay, df dot head. Okay, so the first 5 rows of the df column. So what this question means is I want to find the number of times the combinations of category and segment columns are appearing together. So that means is how many times furniture and bookcases furniture and consumer are appearing together, then furniture and corporate are appearing together. So this way we are working on two columns rather than just one column. So we can't use value underscore counts method here, because here we have to handle two columns. Value underscore count method works only for a single column. So let's see how we'll do this for two columns. So we have df dot group by, and we need to pass in the name of the two columns in a list. So if we if we pass in both the name of the columns not in a list, then it will give an error. So let's see the error as well. So segment dot size. Now this will give an error because we need to pass in these two column names as a list. Okay, I think let's see if it works. Okay, it won't. So we need to pass it as a list. Okay, so now we can see, let's interpret this output. So what it's saying is for the category furniture and for the segment consumer, these combinations are appearing 1113 times. Similarly for furniture and corporate 646 times, and so on. Now as I mentioned, the output of this is a series, but many times, like most of the time, I personally feel that the output uh, looks better in the form of a data frame. So to convert this into a data frame, so we need to do reset underscore index. So this will return a data frame. It will convert all the indexes into a column, and we just need to mention name equal to, let's say, count. Okay, so we have a data frame here where we have category, consumer, and the respective count as how many times these two are occurring together in the data frame. So I'll walk you through the summary of what we have done. So what we want is frequency table of a single categorical column. So to do that, what we need is the data frame, column name, dot value underscore counts method. So this is the method one. Method two is df uh, df dot group by the column name. Now when we are dealing with single column, then either we can just give the column name, or we can as well pass in as a list. So the both works equally well. Uh, Dot size. Okay, so this was for a single column. Now in case we want, I'll just copy paste frequency table for two or more categorical columns. To do that, as I mentioned, we can't use value underscore counts method. We need to use group by and the size method. So what we need to do is df dot group by. In the list, we need to pass the name of the columns in a list. So the first column, let's say it's column name 1, then column name 2 dot size. Also if we want to uh, rename the last column because it appears as 0, so we just need to put in name equal to, you can call it by any name. I'll just call it count. Okay, so let's walk through the Jupyter notebook once again. How to get a frequency table of a categorical column using pandas. I took a scenario of a sample superstore dataset. Here I have created a frequency table of category column, which was one of the columns of this dataset. So for method 1, I have used value underscore counts method. For method 2, I have used group by and dot size method. If you want to rename the last column, we just need to pass in name equal to count. Also, we did the similar thing for the segment column, and for frequency table of category and segment column, that is two or more. Here I have taken only two columns. We can use more than two columns as well. So for this I have used category and segment. So to create the frequency table for the combination of these two columns, we need to pass in group by categories and segment the name of the columns dot size. Okay, so this is the summary which I wrote down. So that's all for today's video. Uh, I hope it was useful. Thank you and take care.